Alright, what's up, guys? Howard Care, Roy, what's up? Happy Monday. We're back. We've got a new shark for tonight on our Dr. Jaws live stream. This is the Sicklefin Lemon Shark, which I'm super excited to cover tonight. It's a species that I don't know very well. There's a lot of, just like any other Pacific species, it's kind of a mystery to me compared to Atlantic species. I work a lot more with Atlantic species, so but hope you guys are doing well. I know you guys had the 3-day weekend, I guess a week ago, and then for America, we had a 3-day weekend as well. Today is Memorial Day, so for the United States. So yeah, I had a pretty cool weekend, just catching up on a lot of things and relaxing overall. So yeah, it's been good. Hope you guys are doing well. Howard, thank you so much for your art, as always. This is looking fantastic. This is an awesome Sicklefin Lemon Shark capturing the sickle fins. It sounds kind of funny, but like the name is actually extremely accurate. Just these pectoral fins on this species are just pretty dramatic, actually. So I really appreciate just the art. Oh, sorry. Focusing on that, and I really like just like the coloration for the lemon shark. The two dorsal fins are equally sized, which is great. So thank you so much for submitting this. And lemon sharks in general have such a unique look about them. Oh, sorry, I don't know what happened there. I don't know how to describe it, but there's something about like their like their head. It's kind of like beefy and like tough looking, kind of like a bull shark almost, but it's also very elongate and conical, almost like a sand tiger. It's a very unique genus, Negaprion. So I'm excited to dive more into it. I guess before we get started, just shout out to Lo-Fi Cowboy, which I'm gonna subscribe to. So I didn't really know what to do for music tonight, and I was just kind of thinking about Cowboy Bebop, which, have you guys ever seen Cowboy Bebop, the anime series? It's amazing. And actually the music from the series is pretty fantastic in itself, but I found this really cool lo-fi channel that is going to have some relaxing beats for tonight, so check them out. Lo-Fi Cowboy, nice homage to possibly one of the greatest anime series of all time. I know Cowboy Bebop has been praised as the greatest anime series. Oh, hey, Roy has seen it. So yeah, it is really fantastic series. I saw it like a couple years ago. I think it's a 1995 anime, mid-90s anime, but it's pretty fantastic. I highly recommend it. I'm glad you've seen it. Yeah. Howard, I definitely recommend it. Because like I wonder, it might be available on HBO Max. I forget. I think it is streaming somewhere. Like I know I've never used this, but I think Crunchyroll is a place to watch like anime. I don't really watch a lot of it, but anyway, it's really good. I definitely recommend it. And I'm like a big. This sounds silly, but I'm a big DVD guy, so it's definitely worth the DVD if you wanted to get that. So, but anyway, Cowboy Bebop is awesome. Thanks again just for submitting your art. So it just looks really great, and I just saw your comment on put them on the diet. No, it's cool. I mean, because it's like honestly, the head in proportion to the rest of the body is looking great. And lemon sharks in general, like I mean, the bigger they get, the beefier they get. So I think this is really cool. Thank you so much, Howard. So there's actually like couple clips, not many. I think this is not as popular as the classic lemon shark. So I think this is probably a really good one. Probably good one to start with. Did not mean to do that. I'm going to do the opposite of that. There we go. So this is from Reva A. Moana, Dive with Lemon Sharks, and this is the Sicklefin Lemon Shark in French Polynesia. So what's interesting is that this is also known as the sharp-toothed lemon shark. Dude, look at that. But I like Sicklefin much more. I think that's such a good name. The best names, both in English or scientific names, are ones that are descriptive. Just in terms of like I don't like it when scientists name sharks after other scientists because it doesn't really help capture like what this animal is. So I really like it when there's a name that's like descriptive. Oh man, look at these sharks! They're so cool. And again, those pectoral fins, actually all the fins on the body, but especially the pectoral fins, they're very dramatic looking. Just like a really beautifully sharp curve. That is a cool looking shark, actually. And it's interesting. It has like this dramatic, these dramatic fins, but it's fascinating. Like, look how big the second dorsal fin is compared to the first dorsal fin. That's really unusual for like carcharodid sharks. This is something you see more with like smoothhounds. Or I guess sand tigers too, but this shark, the second dorsal is enormous when you think about it. So, and it has such a cool look about it. Like there's a real intensity to just like this shark's face. Like this is probably a really fun one to do. Like maybe we should do like a future art contest with like lemon sharks because like it's such a character really. So man, this thing is awesome. So, audio is okay. Sorry, I'm glad the audio is better. Sorry about that. I think it's because I was like switching back from the mini player on accident, but might as well call these sharpfin lemons. Yeah, that'd probably be a cool name. I'm kind of curious. They look a bit more intense than common lemon sharks. Yeah, they kind of do. I think that's fair actually, because like I feel like common like the lemon shark that we know, like the ones in the Atlantic. Let's rewind that. Like the fins are a bit broader. I think the lemon sharks that we know too are not as slim. Like this is a pretty streamlined, slim looking. It's a very unique looking shark. It's very streamlined, very slim looking, and every fin is huge and every fin is pointed on the body. Like pectoral, first dorsal, pelvic, second dorsal, anal fin, caudal fins. Like just, I mean, let me pause on this. Like, whoop, sorry, I went a little too far. It's such a sharp angle. I really look at that. Like, just even that second I'm kind of really blown away by that second dorsal fin. That is ridiculously huge compared to the rest of the body and compared to a lot of other sharks. Like it's so huge. And it's such a dramatic curve. This is a rad looking animal. This is pretty awesome. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else really like this. And like the snout too, or the head, that really reminds me of sand tigers. This is a completely different order, but it's just like that is like a really conical snout. Like there's so much space between like the jaw and the gills and the fin. Like this is actually a pretty. I'm curious why why it looks like this in terms of. Are its habits similar to sand tigers? We clearly see this is a shark that is, reef going, likes reefs. Sand tigers have high sight fidelity. This, I don't know. It's probably piscivorous, probably exclusively a fish-eating shark. I've never heard of lemon sharks of any kind going after larger prey. So this is quite a video. You know what? Wait a minute. It's kind of interesting. I'm just noticing. Look how the eyes. This is interesting. Look how the eyes are almost forward looking. Isn't that kind of weird? Like, look at that. Because I mean, you think of sharks like the eyes at the side of the body, and like the vision of sharks, kind of like. Looking to the left or the right of the body, but like with this, I'm just noticing right now that the eyes are positioned so closely, and like there's like kind of like this indentation here, It is interesting to see, and this will be like a really cool study, if that's something that has to do with hunting or its vision. Like, it is interesting the positioning of the eyes relative to the rest of the body, where it's like it is almost forward looking. It's kind of, that's actually pretty wild. I don't think a lot of sharks are like that. Interesting. I don't know. I'm checking up on comments. Oh, hey, what's up? We've got a new... Hey, what's up, Sir Duckless Bane? So yeah, lemon sharks. Yes, I think Roy just answered that. So lemon sharks are kind of unique in that they do have a yellowish color. That's not really common in the shark world. Most sharks have like a slaty gray or, kind of like these patterns. But lemon sharks have kind of a uniquely yellowish color to them. Kind of like blue sharks. Like, blue sharks have a uniquely blue color. The reason they're named these names is that it's just not common in the shark world. It's like there's not that many sharks that are actually blue. There's not that many sharks that are actually yellow. So, but yeah, elongated head for sure. No spherical. Ooh, I didn't notice that. No, I did not notice that. Wait, let me check that. Good call, Howard. I did not notice that it doesn't have a spherical. Interesting. Oh, good call. Yeah, spiracles are tricky for me. Like, I always that's one feature that I always kind of like. It's so important to pay attention to that in terms of like whether sharks have them or not for identification. Good eye, Howard. I didn't notice they didn't have one, so very, very cool. I'll switch clips in a second, but I just want to give this one another go. It just looks so cool. Oh my gosh. Behaviorally, it's interesting seeing this is an aggregation, so a lot of lemon sharks comfortably close together, just sticking close to the bottom, cruising, not really being aggressive or anything, at least like in this video. And this is filmed by a diver, so they're clearly feeling pretty comfortable overall. I'm curious, as we dive in tonight, I'm curious kind of how big they get. Should be able to see this. Max is 310 centimeters, so 3 meters. So that's about 9 feet. Sluggish, swimming slowly near or resting on the bottom, may surface when stimulated by food, but shy and reluctant to approach divers. That's interesting. They seem pretty comfortable in this video. Young sharks are more inquisitive. The shark has a high sight fidelity with very little movement outside lagoons or atolls in the West Indian Ocean. Interesting. So that's a lot like sand tigers. Sand tiger is one of the few shark species. Bonnetheads. They have a different kind of sight fidelity. Bonnetheads have sight fidelity for their breeding grounds. But that's interesting. Did not know that. So there's another cool clip that I saw on YouTube, and I actually really thought this was pretty cool. This is from Plus Media, which I think this is related to Plus Journal, or Plus One, I think, is a kind of public journal. I forget kind of what the rules are, like what Plus One is about, but it's one of my favorites as far as like checking out like shark research online, because I think part of their mission statement is making research accessible, not having a paywall, like just having like high quality research be published to a wider audience. So I think it's actually pretty cool. We really like to learn more about the social behavior between each other. Yeah, I same here. It's a Carcharodontic sand tiger. Oh my gosh, yeah, it's cool. I love seeing. I guess that's convergent evolution, where this physically looks like a sand tiger. Behaviorally, it acts like a sand tiger, but completely different lines of shark. Sand tiger being lambdiforms, and this one being Carcharodontiforms. So I'm so curious. Like I agree, Roy. I'm very curious what the social behavior would be. So. But this is cool. Courtship behavior for the Sicklefin Lemon Shark. And let me just read the description. Watch this male Sicklefin Lemon Shark express his interest in a female by tailing her. A small population of these sharks live near Morea, French Polynesia. But human environmental stressors may limit their ability to avoid inbreeding. Check out the full study on +1. Yeah, let's actually open that up. We'll save that for later, but I am actually really curious what this study is. So we'll watch this video and then we'll dive into the study because I think that's actually really interesting. So there we go. Okay, so this is related to +1. Gotcha. Okay, I'll make this full screen. All right. So, female, again, just as kind of like a generality, female sharks are larger than male sharks. Female sharks also have, I don't think I've said this before on the stream, but female sharks also have thicker skin than male sharks. I'm sure you probably know with like shark mating, it's common that male sharks bite females' pectoral fins, or bite female sharks in certain areas just while they're mating. So there's a lot of female sharks that actually do have mating scars, so bite marks, and they have evolved thicker skin kind of in relation to that. So pretty interesting. For this, I guess this is... I would not have I personally would not have realized this is actually mating behavior between these two individuals, but so I guess what we're paying attention to is the male following the female and tailing her, so being pretty close to her, following her wake pretty closely. So that's pretty interesting. So and this individual, you can tell she's like slightly bigger, but not too much bigger than the male. So interesting. But I know nurse sharks. I think as far as like mating behavior goes, nurse sharks have been very easy to study. In aquariums, sand tiger sharks actually, there's a lot of great studies on sand tiger mating behavior. Just because that's a shark that does really well in aquaria. So yeah, I'm curious to see more about what this study says. So, speaking of which, yeah, I just saw that. Roy, I've seen scars in the sand tigers in my home aquarium before. Interesting. So yeah, that's probably related to mating behavior. Very interesting. So, all right, here we go. So this is related to +1. This is definitely, as far as online, one of my absolute favorite resources. These are always high quality articles, and you know, I really think that's a really good gesture. There is a debate in academia in terms of funding where, there's paywalls for these papers sometimes because it relates to funding for the actual research and the value of the actual research. But then there's also like a debate about, hey, this is knowledge, and shouldn't knowledge be spread to all? Shouldn't knowledge be publicly accessible? It's an interesting debate. I could kind of see both sides of it. I personally really enjoy it when places like +1 where they make research publicly available. I think that's really important, and I really enjoy when that happens. So. But genetic network and breeding patterns of a Sicklefin lemon shark, Negaprion acutidens, population in the Society Islands, French Polynesia, by Johan Morier, Nicholas Beret, Jennifer K. Schultz, Eric Klua, and Sergey Plains. So, and I apologize if I did not pronounce those correctly. I apologize. But anyway. So, human pressures may have put many top predator populations at risk of extinction. Recent years have seen alarming declines in sharks worldwide, while their resilience remains poorly understood. Studying the ecology of small populations of marine predators is a priority to better understand their ability to withstand anthropogenic and environmental stressors. In the present study, we monitored a naturally small island population of 40 adult Sicklefin lemon sharks in Moria, French Polynesia, over 5 years. This is actually really cool. This is really cool. We reconstructed the genetic relationships among individuals. This is so cool. Wait a minute. Hold on. That's actually really cool. And determined the population's mating system. Guys, I've never seen something like this before. This is actually really, really, really awesome. The genetic network illustrates that all individuals except one are interconnected at least through one first-order genetic relationship. While this species developed a clear inbreeding avoidance strategy involving dispersal and migration, the small population size, low number of breeders, and the fragmented environment characterizing these tropical islands limits its complete effectiveness. Interesting. So I think I've mentioned this before, but this reminds me a lot of cheetahs. There's a lot of famous studies on cheetahs and genetic inbreeding amongst cheetah populations, so very interesting. So I'm assuming, let's see. So this figure is the genetic network of adult lemon sharks. Each individual is indicated by a node labeled by a shark ID. So F15 is an individual, F29 is an individual. This is very interesting. Circles and squares indicates females and males respectively. So females are circles, males are squares. That's actually kind of cracking me up. Men are squares. And symbol size is indicative of the body length of the shark. So, okay, so the larger shapes are larger individuals. Gotcha. Node color represents, node color corresponds to the 3 defined residency groups. Dyads sharing a first order genetic relationship are connected by a line. Okay. With line thickness indicating the strength of genetic relationship. A spring embedding algorithm with node repulsion for laying out the node's position was used to cluster densely connected nodes together with less connected nodes placed around the edge. Gotcha. Genetic degree, number of first order genetic relationships an individual has, distribution within the population. Number of first order genetic relationships. Oh, I see. Okay. So it seems like, so we have these 3 groups. Residents of Moria is red, non-residents is blue, and then Bora Bora is yellow. So B4, this is a female shark, B4, is completely separate from all of these other individuals. And, oh, this is wild actually. M36, which is a male shark, that's a non-resident Moria, is genetically related to a lot of other sharks right here. This is really crazy. Look at this. So interesting. MO5, which is a resident male shark, he's also genetically related to a lot of people, or sorry, a lot of other sharks. So this is really interesting. So the individuals on the outer ring are the ones that are genetically distinct. So for example, this is so interesting. So this B1 could mate with MO4, and that should be okay because they're not connected, if I'm reading this correctly. But B1 shouldn't really mate with M34 because they are already genetically related. So. And MO5 should really not mate with a lot of these different sharks because it is genetically related to a lot of them. This is a really wild study. This is so interesting. I'm checking back in the comments. Let's see. Research should be public domain. I totally agree, Howard. I think because it's just like, it's knowledge. You know, there's a nobility in making knowledge public. So. That's why I love sharkreferences.com. Shout out to sharkreferences.com. Where is this? This website is completely amazing, and it has so much publicly available research. Like this is really, honestly, as far as resources go, sharkreferences.com is kind of the absolute best. I cannot recommend them enough. They're really amazing. So, and they have so much information. If you ever want to do a research study with and you need primary resources, sharkreferences.com is probably the best place to start. So, just this is one of the coolest studies I've ever seen, actually. As far as this is just amazing, actually. So let's check out some other figures. Oh, there we go. Sorry, it took a while to load. So this is cool. Oh, actually, let me check the name. So B4. So if I don't know if we'll get a picture of B4, but B4 is like the healthiest, like most distantly related one. And let's say MO5 is maybe the most inbred shark, if I'm reading this correctly. So let's see if we can get a picture. I don't think they're actually going to say anything in this, so here we go. Oh no, they are saying, okay. Oh, interesting. Okay, so this is detailing different phases. So let me make this perfect. Perfect. Okay, let me make this bigger. So a 2-year reproductive cycle is displayed by female F11, which is pregnant in 2007 A. So this is a gravid female right here. Then it entered a resting period B. So non-gravid female. And mated in 2008 as shown by dermal bite marks on the flanks C. Gotcha. Okay, here we go. So pregnant female or gravid female, non-gravid female. This is all the same individual. And then in C, those are the bite marks right there. So indicating that this individual mated. So that's... Also, it's kind of ridiculous that this soundtrack has like saxophone music as we're talking about shark mating. I did not intend for that to happen, but that's how life goes sometimes. So anyway, but it is interesting seeing like the bite marks here, and I guess for future shark researchers, if you run into an individual, female individual shark with bite marks, it is possibly an indicator of mating. I'm kind of curious if there's bite marks on individuals that are not mating related but aggression related. I think I've heard of examples like that. I believe white sharks have had that happen, where there's bite marks on white sharks' bodies, but it's not mating related. It's more like shark biting shark related, kind of more, and it may not necessarily be aggression, but yeah. But in cases, if it is a female shark and there's bite marks, it could relate to mating. So just kind of like a cool field fact, I guess. So let's see, pregnant again in 2009, figure D. So this is, oh, and you can kind of tell, like just that is a very distended belly for. So you can sort of tell. I don't think I'm quite at that level yet where I could see a shark and identify, oh, that's a pregnant individual. But in this picture, I feel like that's actually pretty evident. So because it's like that's actually really interesting. So because it is so distended relative like to the head, like the position of the head. So interesting. Let's see. Pregnant in 2008, so this is figure E, so still gravid here. And then followed by males in courtship behavior, so this is all the same individual shark. And this is that tailing behavior with the males following her. So interesting. Okay. This is a fascinating study. Wow. Did not expect to go in this direction with lemon sharks. Catching up on comments, so yeah. I just saw the LOL. It's probably, I'm assuming it's the saxophone things. So, but yeah, shark references is awesome. It's so cool. Interesting. This gets tricky. I remember population studies in undergrad, and it gets very confusing very quickly. So, just keeping track of everything. So, female reproduction inferred from parentage assignment. Okay. Litters are shown by years for each female with the assigned fathers and juveniles. Sampled individual adult sharks are indicated in bold. Okay. Oh, gotcha. Okay. So, like MO9. Which one was the one that's like very inbred and should not mate? MO9 probably should not mate, actually. So MO9 and MO5, those are the ones I was looking at. And then B4 is the super distinct one. So here we go. Sorry. This is a really strange. I did not expect to do this. So okay, there's MO4 and MO9. So these two are very much inbred. And then I don't see B4 anywhere. So let's see what we have on this. Sampled individual sharks are indicated in bold. Mothers and fathers inferred through genotype reconstruction by the program. Colony are identified by ID number and ID respectively. I'm not sure. What? Mothers and fathers inferred through genotype reconstruction by the program colony are identified by ID number and ID. Color of juvenile refers to a sampling nursery site. Okay, so, oh, here we go, okay. So the colors are the nursery sites, so these are different places in Moria. Gotcha. Note that juvenile, Type 5 sample 2008. Okay. Note that juvenile, Type 5. Okay, so... Interesting. I don't know. This is kind of confusing me. I think I get it, but I don't want to like say the wrong thing. Because the colored letters are pups. They're individual pups. And the parents in bold are, well, individual parents on that chart. So MO4, for example, is a very highly inbred shark. Number, respectively. So, and I'm guessing on the far left are... This is tricky. Yeah, I don't know if I'm reading this correctly. So this chart is F11, F06, F21, F30. Let me go back to what this is. Oh, gotcha. Okay, never mind. Okay, I'm getting it. Sorry about that. Yeah, that was really throwing me off. So, M is male, F is female. That was really throwing me off for a second. Okay, gotcha. So MO4 is a male, a very inbred male, and F30 is a female. Got you. And I see what's going on. Okay, so this chart is showing MO4 and F30 mated, and their pups are J6B and J6C. MO4 and F30 mated again in 2009, and they had this litter of pups. And 3 and 4? Hold on. Mothers and fathers and further genotype are identified by ID number and ID thing, respectively. I'm not sure what the 3 and 4 mean. That's the last piece that's kind of thrown me off, but now I'm kind of understanding what this chart is about. So MO4 mated with female number 1 and had this pup J1B. So this is starting to show the relationship between all of these sharks, but interesting. MO9 mated with female number 16 in 2008. Okay, so I'm kind of getting what this means. I still don't know what the asterisk number means. I'll close this out in a second, but before I do, does anybody know what the asterisk number means up here? Because this is male 4 mated with female 30, and they had these juveniles, that's what J means, these juveniles here. I just don't know what the asterisk numbers mean. I'm just going to check the comments, so... I'm sorry, MO4 is the one that really needs to stop. Yeah. Yep. Good. Yep. I agree. Roy. So, oh my goodness. This is really fascinating, honestly. This is really, really interesting. I'm going to take one more crack at what the asterisk number means. Because I'm assuming it's a different male, but we don't know... Mothers and fathers inferred through genotype constructed by the program colony are identified by number and ID number, respectively. Oh, wait, gotcha. Nope, I got it. Okay, there we go. Sorry, this was like a puzzle. Gotcha. Never mind. So this is what's going on. So this is male number 3, male number 4, and MO4. So MO4 is like a known male, the one that we were like, you gotta stop. Like, MO4, you're very inbred. You must stop. So, and then the females. These are all females. Like the different numbering threw me off for a second. But there's female number 1, number 2, number 3, and then there's F30, which is a known female. So F30 is a shark that they've been studying for a while. But then female number 1, 2, 3, and 4, those are different females that are not as studied. So MO4 is like a known male. F30 is a known female. They had these kids, these pups, J6B and J6C, and then F30 and MO4 made it again in 2009. They had J13D, J17D, and then F30 and male number 3 and male number 4 mated, and they had these pups. So, got you. Wow, that was really confusing. But honestly, I've been playing Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I'm getting good at puzzle solving. So, like, oh my gosh. Wow, what a night. So, interesting. So this is just a chart, and this is a way. This is just tracking the juveniles and where their nursery sites are. So I guess the last thing to kind of glean from this is, let's see if MO4 has different nursery sites. So we have yellow. So male 4 has Varari nursery site. Let's see if male 4 is somewhere else. I don't see him anywhere else. Are there any individuals that are at different sites? I'm just kind of scanning through this. Yes, okay, there's one. Okay. So this is interesting. So MO9 mated with female number 6, and they had this pup in Varari. And then MO9 went to a different place, or had mated with female number 10, and they had this pup in Onetahi. So, interesting. And then MO9 went somewhere else again. So, female number 16, Rangiroa. So, interesting. So, MO9, male 9, has had pups in different nursery sites, which is really interesting. So, got you. All right. And let's check out male 9 on this chart. And he's very inbred. So got you. Okay. Interesting. So, all right. It's a complex world. But I'm starting to pick up on like what this was all about. So this is really interesting. Thank you for bearing with me as I was trying to figure. I literally was trying to figure this out live. Let's see. Not sure, but let's see. It's an amazing study. Nice to see. They may eventually be able to associate pathologies to these behaviors. Interesting. Yeah, this is a good point, Howard. MO9 was traveling. MO9 is a rock star. Oh my gosh. MO9 is rock and roll. MO9, this is so nerdy, but this is probably our wildest stream yet. So MO9 is the Mick Jagger of lemon sharks, rock and roll. So let's see what else we've got on this study. I'm just going to scan through the introduction really quick. I won't read the whole thing. Let's see. Because I would love, I mean, this is such a cool study. I'd love to kind of get more details on sort of the bigger implications here. So, like, for example, that's actually a really good point. Human population growth has fragmented the range of many species, leading to significant declines in abundance, loss of genetic diversity, and an elevated risk of extinction. Fragmentation is a huge deal. For example, in the Chesapeake Bay, we have this with scallops. Scallop populations are really fragmented in the bay, and there's real concern about, genetic diversity with scallops, because scallops rely on seagrass habitat, and seagrasses have been just really depleted just because of the bay's pollution, blocking out sunlight. Seagrasses can't grow, and scallops really need seagrasses to thrive. So that's one example of habitat fragmentation posing this kind of risk. So, man. To this end, many species have developed inbreeding avoidance strategies, although some animal populations naturally show low genetic variability. So, interesting. Oh, and here you go. Isolation reduction in population size erode evolutionary potential and raise the risk of extinction through inbreeding depression, leading to the loss of genetic variation and the accumulation of deleterious alleles. So, for the record, why inbreeding is bad. It's like you really need, in any species, diversity is your best friend. Like as far as having a high diversity gives you a high mix of genes that can help with different scenarios. Like in terms of it's hard to describe, but like if you have the same genetic set and the same genes, there is something that happen, or the likelihood of genes canceling each other out and like deleterious alleles, like it really raises, like the closer you are related, the higher that risk is of those genes canceling each other out. And this is why with inbreeding there's a lot of genetic deformities or defects, or sometimes it just doesn't even work, it doesn't even happen. Because, like, it's hard to explain. I kind of forget all the details with it, but it basically is like interrupting. It's interrupting like the normal function of like your DNA. It's really hard to explain. I'm actually really butchering it. I thought I could handle it, but like I'm actually really butchering it. Basically, like diversity is your best friend. Like diversity, like it gives you. I kind of think of it like a oh man, like if you're playing poker, you want a nice mix of cards to have a winning hand. If you have like the same, that doesn't even work. Yeah, that doesn't even work. I forget. I thought I had a good analogy, but I forget. But anyway, like just the more distant, the better. Like the more distantly related you are from an individual, the better, because it just increases your diversity. It makes you healthier. Like the more closely related individuals are, the alleles cancel each other out, and just you get much higher risk of defects. So sorry, that was my PSA on inbreeding and why not to do it. So anyway, globally sharks are threatened by overfishing. While these threats are evident for pelagic species, bycatch of commercial fisheries, populations of reef-associated species are also declining. And yeah, actually, that makes sense. Since Sicklefin Lemon Sharks we established their high site fidelity, so they're stuck to these reefs. And if a reef goes away, or like if reef habitat is fragmented, it makes sense that it kind of blocks them off or isolates them from other reef habitats. So interesting. And that being a problem. Despite these rapid declines, little is known about their ability to persist in smaller, more fragmented populations and recover from human-induced bottlenecks. So, bottleneck, I think I've used this term before, but it's genetic bottlenecking is when the diversity of the gene pool decreases and funnels into this really small pool of genes where basically every individual is related to each other. So there's really no genetic diversity. And it quickly ends a population, like when it happens. That's why it's called a bottleneck, because it's like if you have a large population, you have a robust mix of genes, which allows that population to grow in a healthy manner. But if you have a small population, the mix of genes really shrinks very rapidly, creating a situation. And cheetahs are very famous for this. They create a situation where the genetic diversity is so low that, like, the best example I could think of is disease, where, say, that's a better example. Like recently, the pandemic, right? Some people have had COVID, and they're fine. Like they've had it, and it made them sick, but they didn't really have a severe side effect. and then some people like have had dramatic side effects. And part of it is like comorbidity, but another part of it is just their genetic structure in terms of like there's something about their DNA that doesn't work with COVID as well. So if you have a population like a fragmented, bottlenecked population, all of the same genes, all the same individuals with potentially the same genes that don't react to something well, like don't react to a disease like COVID really well, the entire population will go away. Like the entire population will get sick, the entire population will die. But if you have a diverse population where there's a mix of genes, where you have potential mates that have maybe COVID, like for example, in this example, COVID antigen genes, you have a healthy mix of the population, and the population is okay, because it's like there's a mix of individuals that actually have the genes that resist the disease, and those individuals may, across the population, the entire population has, like the population has like a healthier mix of like genes that fight disease. So that's kind of, I butchered it again as far as the example goes, but it's sort of like, I think disease is a really good example of like why you need genetic diversity, because there's so many specific diseases that affect different genes specifically. So if you have like this one kind of population and this narrow gene pool, you're going to be that much more at risk of getting annihilated by some weird disease, versus if you have a diverse mix, you're increasing your odds of like, okay, some individuals are not going to fare well against this disease, some individuals are, and the species will continue because we're okay. That was a really bad explanation. I am so sorry for geneticists who like care about this stuff and like probably hate how I described it. But yeah, gosh, I hope they find more info on their social behavior. It's surprisingly complex. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Howard. Yeah, I'm gonna star that. Thank you. Good explanation. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. I tried. I feel like genetics and evolution, they're both really hard to explain. Like they're concepts that like I understand, and I think most people understand, but they're really, really hard to teach because they're so complicated. Like, and there's so many like caveats and nuances. So it's just like, yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. So anyway, let's keep going. Let me control find social actually. Because I'm curious about that too, Roy. Like, let's see if there's something maybe we can find about this. So, network analysis is an outcome tool to use carriers handle social associations from sharks. No. This is interesting. There's no description, so I'm kind of curious what these studies are. Social network theory of sciences, applications. There's social space structure for species. Let's see. That one looks interesting. I do want to just put a pin in this for a second. I'm curious if this is something we can see. I won't dive into that just yet. I want to finish this genetic study first, but. Okay, yeah, let's check this out in a second. So, alright, let's go back to this current study with lemon shark genetics. For 5 years, we monitored a small Sicklefin lemon shark population. The small population of Moria has not experienced a high level of exploitation. Low densities may therefore be a result of natural ecosystem equilibrium in an isolated, fragmented insular system, and due to some recent natural bottleneck. Meanwhile, the species supports part of the diving industry in French Polynesia with special feeding dives organized. Okay. Alright, we won't do methods because that's just too much for a live stream. Results. Discussion is really where we want to get to. This is all the figures that we've just seen. Oh, behavior. Let's check this out. Okay, of the 21 females who either sampled, 15 gave birth in Moria and 4 in Tetiaroa. 6 females returned to the same nursery on multiple years to give birth, of which 4 returned in a 2-year cycle. 2 litters made of juveniles sampled in different nurseries. Most parturition events confirmed the dermal bite wounds observed underwater in the year prior to parturition. So, the shark bites, again, the shark bites in the females indicated that they recently mated in this particular population. In our sample, 10 of the 20 fathers sired more than 1 litter. 5 males mated with multiple females in a single year. 9 males sired a litter in multiple years. Male MO4 was assigned the offspring to 2 different litters of female F30. Interesting. Genetic diversity and inbreeding. Oh, wait a minute. There's a significant inverse relationship between body size and IR. What does IR mean? Let's see. Oh, I don't know if I can get that. IR value. Interrelatedness. Got you. Okay, that's what that means. So, go back to that. There was an inverse relationship between body size and interrelatedness. So, what was I going to get? So the smaller, the smaller the shark, the more interrelated it is. Did I have that right? Inverse relationship. So the larger the shark, the more distinct it is. The smaller the shark, the more interrelated it is. So, which is a sign of genetic bottlenecking. If I have that right, I think I have that right as far as the inverse relationship. Let me catch up on the comments really quick. So, oh, interesting, Howard. The last of the mammoths died on Wrangel Island after becoming isolated and subject to inbreeding. They died around 4000 BC. Apparently the hair became translucent as a result. That's interesting. Wow. That's not that... Wow, that's really recent, actually. That's amazing. 4000 BC. Yikes. That's like... I'm trying to think. There's a lot of civilization at that time, because that would be... I've been playing a lot of Civ, like Civ 6 lately, and I'm kind of amazed how old certain things are, like the wheel, and I'm trying to think of a good example, like agriculture, things like that. 4000 BC is not that long ago. That's actually really amazing. Wow, really cool. Thanks for sharing that. That's wild. I didn't realize that mammoths were that close as far as the timeline goes. So wow. Oh, this population is also unique since, unlike many places of the world, it's been preserved from any human exploitation, implying that low densities observed are normal for this population. Our results demonstrate that this small population displays patterns of connectivity throughout the archipelago and dispersal, which are used as a strategy to avoid mating with closely related partners. So, if I'm reading that correctly, it's individuals like our rockstar Lemon Shark MO9 do go from place to place, like site to site, as a way to avoid inbreeding. Interesting. So, although, I mean, MO9 is very inbred, right? So, I don't know. Let's see. Although the mean relatedness was low among adults of the population, all sharks but one were interconnected through close to moderate genetic relationships. Yes, so okay, so they all were related. First order genetic relationships accounted for nearly 18% of all pairwise relationships, reaching 21.6% when excluding individuals from Bora Bora. The genetic network illustrates that sharks from different residency groups and islands are related. That is likely a consequence of dispersal. Our results also indicate that sharks are migrating to breed outside of the resident population. Ooh, while some individuals of its Atlantic sister species, Negaprion brevirostris, our classic lemon shark, appear to remain at their natal island, others disperse before reaching maturity to colonize other islands. A similar situation is found in Negaprion acutidens, the Sicklefin lemon shark, as among 4 resident female sharks of Bora Bora, 3 appear genetically linked to sharks sighted in Moria. Interesting. Also, direct migration evidence is available of some individuals from Moria being sighted in Tahiti, both within and outside the mating season. Moreover, during each breeding period, most resident males disappeared from days to weeks, while non-resident males, such as male MM12, show up in Moria, presumably to mate. While adult sharks appear to migrate through the archipelago, movement or dispersal in juvenile and immature sharks may be limited, as only 2 juveniles were caught away from their litter mates within the same island. Interesting. This is amazing. This is like, I love sharks, man. I love studies like this, where it's just like you're seeing just their lives. Like this is what they do. Like right now, like around the world, like, sharks are living these actually quite complicated lives. So like regardless of like when we dive with them or study them firsthand, it's really amazing just to see this. That they actually, it's really complex. Like it's so cool. Let's see. This is a unique individual. We don't need to go into that. However, some species delay their dispersal until reaching maturity. Therefore, while Sicklefin lemon sharks may start emigration from nurseries during their first year, dispersal rate in the population may increase throughout the shark's growth. So the larger it gets, the more likely it is to go to new locations. Overall, Sicklefin lemon sharks in the Society Islands appear to be structured as a mixed population of individuals moving throughout the archipelago. Interesting. Okay. So reproductive behavior, they're saying they were able to monitor what the investigate the mating system, recruitment patterns of lemon sharks. Like other reef sharks, depend on nurseries for recruitment. Most females show philopatry for particular nurseries, although this is not the case for all of them. So philopatry is like site fidelity. Negaprion acutidens shares nursery locations with Carcharodon melanopterus. That's the black tip reef shark, which is a really beautiful shark. I'm fascinated with this shark, so we'll keep the lemon shark. I won't pull open a picture, but Carcharodon melanopterus is a very beautiful shark. As females mostly follow a biennial reproductive pattern, something that exhibit a 2-year cycle. Therefore, other females either did not reproduce during the study period or gave birth at different unsampled nursery locations. Let's see. Most litters had multiple sires, showing the prevalence of polyandrous female mating as it is commonly found in reef sharks. Interesting. This proportion may be underestimated as the monogamous females had small, potentially incompletely sampled litters. Male reproductive success was highly skewed, with few males siring litters on multiple occasions within and across years, potentially due to dominance hierarchy among them or migratory strategies during the mating season. Interesting. Check the columns for genetic diversity. So, lemon sharks in my home aquarium are rather small, so yeah. So they probably didn't move as much. Interesting. Sites like this should put pressure on aquarists to ensure healthy breeding practices. Yes, sand tiger. That's a good point, Howard. I think sand tigers, as far as breeding programs go, I know sand tigers have one. Like there is a network of aquaria. I mean, sand tigers are like all over the place in public aquariums, but I know sand tigers have a breeding program. Um, Someday on some stream we should check out. There is a official shark husbandry guide, and this is for public aquaria. This is not for private aquaria, but there is, I forget where I found it, but there is an actual like guide on how to take care of sharks in public aquarium. So it's actually a pretty, I don't say robust field, but there's like, it's more. I think there is more conversation about aquaria being places of not just educating the public, but actual places of conservation and active like playing active roles in conservation in terms of like you said, preserving genetic integrity. So there's a guide. Yeah, there is. I forget what it's called, but it is like I'll have to pull it up at some probably on a future stream. I'll have to pull it up, but there is an official. It's huge. It is like what 60 pages longer, 90 pages. It's a big guide because like it is free as a PDF somewhere online, and I think it was early 10s, mid 2000s, but it is like a official guide on things you run into with aquarium care for sharks. So breeding being one of them. The Evil Genius's Guide to Shark Husbandry. That's like Dr. Evil. Dr. Evil probably used it because I think he had a shark lab thing, or no, he had sharks with laser beams. That's what he had. So, but anyway, what was I gonna say? But yeah, it goes into a lot of things. The biggest one is, or not the biggest one, but like, because I used to work in like some smaller public aquariums, and one of the biggest ones is like water condition and animal health in relation to the water, animal health in relation to like how is the skin doing, like how is the animal's behavior doing, and a lot of it is directly related to like what is the pH balance in the water, what is like the salinity, what is like the mineral content or the bacteria like in the tank. Whoops, I don't know what happened. The screen went off for a second. There's so many nuances to aquariums, and actually like a freshwater, like a private small goldfish tank is kind of tricky in itself. Like if you're doing it right, like there's a lot of nuances to like a goldfish tank, and like I cannot imagine like a full-blown shark tank with all these different species, like all these different fish, because there's so much you need to do, like in order to make sure that system is set up at a healthy manner. There's so many like different chemicals and you cannot have an aquarium unless you have like the right bacteria. Like the fact that that's like the case is like it's a very delicate system actually, and you have to know what you're doing. So yes, there is a guide to that. So I'll pull it up on a future stream, but it is very interesting kind of going into all these different aspects of shark husbandry. So let's go back to genetic diversity. Let's see. Oh, this is interesting. There's apparently a genetic study on the pike dogfish, Squalus acanthius. Interesting. Even the critically endangered Pristis pectinata. I'm not sure what this is, but I'm assuming with Pristis this is probably a sawfish. So, does that reveal inbreeding? Same level of inbreeding was not... the same level of inbreeding was found in Carcharodontis melanopterus. Again, that's the black-tip reef shark. Another shark species of Society Islands. Negaprion acutidens, the Sicklefin Lemon Shark, clearly developed some inbreeding avoidance strategy by conducting specific behavior, including dispersal and migrations across the archipelago. So individuals are actively trying to go to different parts of the archipelago to avoid mating with individuals in their immediate environment to avoid inbreeding. Interesting. Polyandry is often expected to effectively increase the cumulative genetic variation in a single litter and therefore decrease inbreeding. At the population, so multiple mates is having multiple mates is a strategy to, I guess, increase genetic diversity and decrease inbreeding, if I'm reading that correctly. At the population level, this effect is likely to be mitigated by an increased variance in male reproductive success. Additional studies on the lemon shark, like Negaprime brevirostris, the classic one, suggests that high multiple paternity in lemon sharks is more likely a result of convenience polyandry than of indirect genetic benefits such as inbreeding avoidance. Therefore, it remains unlikely that polyandry alone play a minor role in inbreeding avoidance mechanisms, or major role. So really, I guess what it's saying is that sharks going to different sites is kind of sort of the strategy to avoid inbreeding. Concerning these behaviors in the mating system displayed by Sicklefin lemon sharks to avoid inbreeding, the observed degree of inbreeding is unusual for mobile-free living marine species. Interesting. Okay, these life history characters. Oh, wait a minute. Male biased dispersal from the natal area, as well as no evidence that certain males dominate paternity, may reduce the likelihood of inbreeding. Okay. Less evidence for that. Okay. Okay. So in this specific case, in this population of Sicklefin lemon sharks, few males appear to dominate paternity. Some males are resident to an island and do not roam like other species do. And although evidence for dispersal is found, individuals within the entire archipelago remain closely related. Got you. So what's going on with these lemon sharks is that they kind of don't go as far as most other sharks do. Like, they don't travel to new locations as most other sharks do. And to the fewer locations that they do travel, they're all kind of related anyway. So, got you. Interesting. Another reason that may limit the effectiveness of inbreeding avoidance may be the fragmented habitat in this region, which tends to isolate populations and may reduce the opportunity to find unrelated mates. Got you. So this is like a natural barrier. Interesting. 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 Conclusion. Okay. Sorry. I know we spent a lot of time on this, but this was such a wild study. Like, individuals from this local population of Sicklefin lemon sharks in the Society archipelago share many first-order genetic relationships, providing evidence that population size in the species is fairly limited in the context of islands, at least in French Polynesia, but likely in isolated island systems of the Pacific. This low genetic variability has encouraged Sicklefin lemon sharks to develop different strategies to avoid mating between close relatives, with evidence of migrations across islands and atolls. The highly isolated and fragmented environment of French Polynesia may limit encounter rate of unrelated males, despite dispersal and migrations across Society islands. These results encourage for long-term monitoring to survey the population response to increasing anthropogenic factors, despite the economic importance of these sharks in the local tourism industry. Interesting. So the sharks are naturally trying to go to new locations, but they can't really go to new locations just because of the geography of this island chain. So that's sort of forcing them to be more at risk for inbreeding than normal as far as sharks go. So what a study. This is pretty amazing. Oh, and this is a map of the archipelago. Look at that. That's really cool. So again, thank you Joan Muir, Nicholas Bure, Jennifer K. Schultz, Eric Klua, and Sergey Plains. This genetic network and breeding patterns of Sicklefin lemon shark, Population Society Islands, French Polynesia. This is an amazing study. And thank you, Plus One. Plus One is awesome. I know it's awesome like across the board, but it's just like that was one of the coolest studies that I think this is honestly one of the coolest we've ever seen on the stream. So this was really, really cool. I will finally close it out. I know that took forever, but that was honestly an amazing study. So that had me hooked. That was really, really cool. Man. So let's move on to something a little bit lighter. I just want to do a shout out when I was kind of preparing for the stream to a really cool website called Jungle Dragon. And I like this because this is it reminds me a little bit more of like older internet a little bit. But apparently this is a photography website. And I think it's like kind of more like a community website. So this is, I had this. This is really cool. I had this. Where was this? Oh, Jungle Dragon is a nature and wildlife community for photographers, travelers, and anyone who loves nature. We're genuine, free, ad-free, and beautiful. So, I've never been to this site before, but it's actually really cool. I love seeing new, interesting corners of the web like this. So, and I'm curious if it's called Jungle Dragon, if this is like tropical species, although I just noticed the common shiner. That's definitely a temperate species. This is fun fact. Fun fact for fisheries people. Shiners are some of the hardest group of fishes to classify. I had to try to do that in undergrad, and I think I might have talked about it before, but shiners are actually really tricky. They all look the same, and the differences are so minor. So if you ever get into fish biology and don't want to lose your mind, I recommend maybe not studying shiners. So, but anyway, so here's some. I think this is the only photo they have of the Sicklefin Lemon Shark on this website. But again, it's a really cool website in general. I love like kind of discoveries like this, so definitely check it out. Let's see if we got some information. I won't read the whole thing out loud, but maybe there's some new facts about this guy. About this species. Description. I like that. The fins of the Sicklefin lemon shark are more falcate than those of the otherwise very similar American lemon shark. Agreed. I think we all talked about that at the beginning, but that's a nice way to write it out in terms of like, yep, it's a sharper looking shark. Distribution. Like that. Oh, interesting. I wonder where the citations are. Some text fragments are all auto-parsed from Wikipedia. This was saying, Sicklefin lemon sharks is usually seen cruising sedately just above the sea bottom or lying still in it, as unlike most requiem sharks, it is capable of actively pumping water over its gills. So, this is saying it's a buccal pumper. That makes sense. I know Negaprion brevirostris does that, where it lies on the seabed and it can actually pump water over its gills. So I guess, I'm assuming that makes sense that this one, that the Sicklefin lemon shark does that too. Interesting. This shark seldom undertakes long distance movements. A study in Aldabra Atoll in Seychelles found of the tag sharks that were later recaptured, over 90% were still within 2 kilometers of initial tagging location. Another study at Moria, so this is the one that I think we probably just read, found that some of the local sharks were year-round residents of the island, while others were more transitory and visited only occasionally. The shark likes to eat fish, herring, mullets, mackerel, silversides, smelt whitings, triggerfish, parrotfish, porcupine fish, stingrays, and guitarfish. Interesting. Oh, this is cool. Sicklefin lemon sharks have been documented resting on the bottom and eliciting cleanings by blue streak cleaner wrasses, during which they may open their mouths and stop respiring for as long as 150 seconds to give the wrasse access to their mouth and gills. That's actually really cool. I know multiple sharks like being cleaned by these kinds of fish, but this might be the first time we've seen this on the stream where an explicit confirmation of like, yeah, this shark likes being cleaned by cleaner fish. So, oh, this species likely colonized the Central Pacific by infrequently hopping from one island to the next. Significant levels of genetic differentiation between Sicklefin lemon sharks in Australia and French Polynesia, 750 kilometers apart, suggest that little intermingling occurs between regional subpopulations. So that's like fragmenting, like habitat fragmenting again. Interesting. I do want to check out the conservation status. I am kind of concerned with that habitat fragmentation. So this species, also known as the sharp-toothed lemon shark, is endangered. I'm kind of curious if fragmentation is part of why it's endangered. So let's check out the assessment information on IUCN Red List. catching up on the comments. So, fish toothbrush. Sorry, I'm just catching up. Let's see. All right. Sharp-toothed lemon shark is a large coastal shark. Okay, here we go. Back to IUCN Red List for species assessment. It is demersal, shallow inshore. It's often found on and around coral reefs and sandy plateaus near coral. It is also known to occur around or within mangrove forest, which may be used as nursery grounds. It is caught as targeted bycatch through much of its range, industrial and small-scale fisheries. The species also threatened by declines in habitat quality of coral reefs due to climate change, destructive fishing practices, and poor water quality, and mangroves from deforestation and coastal development. While there is limited species-specific data available, it is likely to have undergone declines based on its large size and presumably low productivity and intensive coastal fisheries throughout most of its range. Landing surveys, diver interviews, and anecdotal evidence indicate substantial declines over the past 3 generation lengths, 50 years. Results from baited remote underwater video surveys of coral reefs across its range, 242 reefs in 36 nations, indicate the species has declined to very low levels throughout much of its range in Asia and Africa, but remains common in Australia. Go Australia! And some island nations of the Pacific and Indian Oceans. It is estimated that the sharp-toothed lemon shark has undergone a population reduction of 50 to 79% over the last 3 generation lengths, 50 years, due to levels of exploitation and declines in habitat quality, and is assessed as endangered. Okay, gotcha. So, that's not good. I know the last one, the great hammerhead, we were talking about its conservation status. Was it the great hammerhead? Yes, it was the great hammerhead. Yes, we were talking about its conservation status, and I was kind of like more hopeful. Yes, it was a great hammerhead, because the conservation status of the great hammerhead was sort of conservative and based on like, hey, hammerheads are sensitive, we want to protect them, we want to make sure we're giving them everything we got, so just, this is a critically endangered species, don't touch it. But we actually don't know everything we probably should know about it, and it might be okay overall. So the last stream with the great hammerhead, I was a bit more hopeful. Unfortunately for this shark, this is not looking good, because, you know, it has high site fidelity. The fact that that seems like a robust data set, like, you know, the fact that they're interviewing divers, that they did these remote underwater video surveys, that, you know, it's not being caught as much, like, all of these happening at once, I think endangered is completely fair, and that's not a good outlook. That is actually really scary for the species. So yeah, that's not good news. So go Australia. I appreciate that the species is doing better in Australia. I really hope we get Australian viewers someday so we can add it to our community, you know, in terms of just like, you know, Australia does some amazing shark science, and I really hope we have Australian viewers. That would be really fun. So, yeah, I'm glad it's doing better there. But yeah, this is scary. I'm not going to lie. This is actually pretty scary. I don't think we've seen an assessment talked about dive surveys, diver interviews, or, you know, just the baited remote underwater video system surveys. Like, for that to show that it's like declining is scary, because, you know, these are actually really effective. Like, these surveys are very good at monitoring shark populations because they don't interfere with sharks. You know, like divers, you know, as much as we love being with sharks, you know, they do scare sharks away. You know, and these surveys have been a really handy way where they really dramatically increase the likelihood of, you know, running into a shark in a certain area. You know, like, because it's not a human, it's not alive, it's not active. It's a passive monitoring system. It's a new technology that has been really, really helpful. But the fact that the Sicklefin Lemon Shark is not showing up on these surveys is really scary. So this is one to keep an eye on. I hope it does okay. I really hope that there's... Let's check out conservation. Is there anything going on? Let's see. So Yeah, Australia. Yeah, yeah. I hope it'll be really cool. It'll be really really cool. Like I think like as far as like shark research, I feel like United States and Australia, they do kind of rival each other. Like as far as like the shark research community in terms of productivity. So it'll be really cool. It'll be really really cool. And like this is not the first time we've seen Australia as like a place where sharks are doing okay. I feel like Australia has had examples of taking conservation more seriously, and I really appreciate that. So I hope fingers crossed. That'll be really cool. That'd be really cool for Dr. Jaws Live, just to have some Australian representation. That'll be awesome. So, there are a few species-specific regulations in place to protect the species. In northern Australia, fisheries with targeted sharks are managed through using output and/or total allowable catches in Queensland, or in individual transferable quotas in Northern Territory. Okay, interesting. Marine protected areas are common in coral reef areas throughout its range, but only those that are sufficiently large and well enforced provide refuge for reef-associated sharks. Gotcha. Shark sanctuaries where targeted shark fishing is banned within a nation's entire exclusive economic zone provide benefits to reef sharks and cover significant parts of its range, especially in the Pacific. Before I forget, I'm sure you guys probably know this already. I'll just say it again just in case, but climate change is really significant for coral reefs because healthy coral reefs have an algae inside them called zooxanthellae, and the zooxanthellae is very very sensitive to temperature. It can only grow in a certain temperature range, and if water temperature raises to a certain degree, the zooxanthellae freak out and they abandon the coral that they have like that symbiotic relationship with, and that's what causes coral bleaching. Like the corals fade in color because they're losing their zooxanthellae, and it is like a photosynthetic algae that's part of like why the corals are so beautiful, and like why they have those pretty colors is like it is specifically this kind of algae that's kind of lending to that. So that, like, as far as climate change goes, like the impact of climate change on coral reefs is extremely serious, and it's interesting connecting this to this species, where this is a species of shark that very much likes coral reefs. Like this is a species that has a high site fidelity with coral reefs. It needs coral reefs, so it is actually really interesting. I feel like climate change and sharks isn't really talked about too much, but this is an interesting and probably a really good case study species. If anybody wants to do like a research project or a report as far as like how does climate change affect sharks, I would say the Sicklefin Lemon Shark is a really good example, in terms of like it is a species that likes coral reefs. Coral reefs are not doing well with the water temperatures rising, so it's a really good species for that. So let's see. Shark sanctuaries where targeted shark fishing is banned within the nation's entire EEZ provide benefits to reef sharks and cover significant parts of the range, especially the Pacific, French Polynesia, Cook Islands, Palau. Let's see. The use of turtle excluder devices, TEDs. It's been a while since I've seen that. These are pretty cool. Has been shown to be an effective way to reduce the catches of large sharks in prawn and shrimp trawls. So I forget exactly how these work, but I think TEDs have been around for a while now, and they are effective. So that's actually really cool that they're applicable to sharks as well. Effective enforcement of measures will require ongoing training and capacity building, including in the area of species identification. Catch monitoring is needed to help understand population trends and form management. So again, I'm glad it lives in Australia. I'm glad it lives in areas that are protected. It might be okay. I mean, if there's like no take zones, this species might be okay, or it might do well. This is a really scary assessment, so I'm worried about the Sicklefin lemon shark, but it's not hopeless. So I hope I hope it's going to fare well. So this is definitely a species to keep an eye on. And for any future shark researchers, this is a really good one to study. So Sicklefin Lemon Shark. Let's switch gears to maybe, I'm gonna hop around a little bit. Maybe we can find some more behavioral stuff. It's getting close to 10:30, so it's probably a good time to ask. Do you guys have any preferences for next week? And we're still gonna stick with the shark for a good while tonight, but just leave a comment if you have a preference. We've been doing a lot of tropical sharks lately, which has been awesome. I'm wondering if we should maybe go back to the abyss, and do something deep water, but that's just kind of my thoughts on that. But let me know in the comments if you want to switch gears. I'm going to go back to looking more Sicklefin Lemon Shark information, but let me know if there's a shark that you want to cover next week. So let's see. So we're on Florida Museum of Natural History. I really like the common names on this website. I think it's a pretty good group. So let's see. This is also known as the Indian lemon shark, Indo-Pacific lemon shark, sharp-toothed shark. That's actually confusing. I think there's another shark that might be named that, actually. Broadfin shark. It has such a cool look. This species is quite shy when approached by divers, being reluctant to approach even when bait is presented. And I'm just scanning this. I know we covered a lot of information tonight, so I'm kind of shifting gears maybe more towards media, like photos, videos. But I'm just scanning this to see if there's anything new. Yeah. That's interesting. The Sicklefin lemon shark is almost identical to the lemon shark. However, it can be distinguished by the free rear. I don't think this is identical. I think you can kind of tell, honestly. Like, the fins are so dramatic looking. I think fortunately, even though it's the same genus, Negaprion, I think this is actually a pretty distinct looking species. So I think you could definitely tell between this and the other lemon shark. So, it was a good photo. Nope, that is the classic lemon shark. Never mind, because yeah, it's a weird angle, but you can tell actually. So that's the classic one. Let's check out fish space. I'm kind of curious what Negaprion means. Oh, interesting. So the genus Negaprion, it comes from negatus, which means to deny, and prion, which means saw, referring to the lack of saw-like serrations in the teeth cusp. So that's interesting. So Negaprion means no serrations, or no saw teeth. That's interesting. Acutidens means sharp or pointed. Dens from dentist tooth, probably referring to the pyramid-like teeth. Could be, because this is also known as a sharp-toothed lemon shark, but I kind of like acutidens referring to the fins, being very sharp-looking, but it's probably the teeth. Speaking of teeth, I wonder if we can get a jaw set on this species. We probably can from... Oh, we can't! Sharkreferences.com usually has jaw sets, but I guess we can't get that. So, interesting. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. Dangerous if provoked. Ooh, I just saw the comment. Roy, I was thinking we could do the black tip reef shark. You know what? Even though it's not deep water, that is a beautiful species. We could totally do that. So let me pull that up really quick. I do want. Well, I don't want to crash my internet, but. Sorry, I just want to show everybody what I'm talking about. This is a really pretty shark, like the black tip reef shark. I'll just, images. might be doing too much by pulling this up. Okay. Sorry, this is one of the coolest, most beautiful sharks, I think. Carcharodontis melanopterus. So, yeah, we could totally do this next week. Blacktip reef shark is very distinctive looking. There's nothing else like it. I know there's like the classic blacktip shark, but this looks completely different. You know, it's just like, you know, I'm excited to do this next week. So I'll save it for next week. But this is again one of the most beautiful sharks out there. I really love blacktip reef sharks. So we could totally do that next week. Good suggestion, Roy. So we'll do that one next week. So. This is cool, Shark Research Institute. Let's see what they've got. Beautiful Mark Dando illustrations on the Sicklefin Lemon Shark. And I saw your comment, Howard, agreeing with me. I think as a reference to the fins. Yeah, I think everything is dangerous when provoked. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, what's not dangerous when provoked, you know? Like, I've heard deer can be dangerous when provoked, so, like, that's a good point. That is a really good point. So, I've been bit by Sergeant Majors. That is like one of the cutest, smallest looking fish. Like that is, he's literally like literally the size of my hand is like a Sergeant Major. And like I've been bit on dives. You know, like they're very brave, and like I think I got too close to like its territory. So it's a tiny fish, but it's dangerous when provoked. So that's a good point. This is Black Channel Aquarium, what they need. Melanie based on their sign name. Interesting. Carcharodontis melanopterus. So, yeah, unfortunately, I think blacktips are in private aquariums. I really don't like sharks in private aquariums just because it's like sharks are so nuanced. But it is a very popular species because it is a reef-going species. Like epaulet sharks are another one that are very popular for that reason. So, but I do like that name, Melanie, for Melanopterus. That is actually pretty clever though. So, it's a beautiful shark. It is a completely, like there's certain I think I've talked about French angelfish before. There's like certain subtle patterns in the ocean that for some reason really appeal to me, and I really love them. And I think blacktip reef sharks kind of have that going on. Like they have that like beautiful bronzy cream colored or like bronzy body, a cream colored pale spot before you get to the black tip. It's a gorgeous looking shark. So I'm excited for next week. That's gonna be a lot of fun. So, but these are pretty cool illustrations from Mark Dando on the Sicklefin Lemon Shark. You can very clearly see the dramatic, falcate pelvic fins and dorsal fin. You can't really see the second dorsal or anal fin as well, which is kind of a shame because I think that's some of the most distinctive features of this species. So let's see if we get some more stuff on this. Young sharks are found on very shallow reef flats with the dorsal fins exposed. Interesting. These sharks are often sluggish, swimming slowly near resting on the bottom. They may surface when stimulated by food, but tend to be shy and reluctant to approach divers. Okay. Interesting. So, not a lot of new information, but it's a really cool illustration. So, I think this is actually in this photo. That's actually tricky to tell. I think this is a Sicklefin Lemon Shark in this photo. Yes, it is, because the dorsal fin, the second dorsal is really big. It's hard to tell from this angle what the curve is like, but you can kind of tell. I think that's another one down there, actually. And these back here, that actually looks like a gray reef shark, which is a Pacific... Whoa, what is this photo, actually? Wait a minute. Hold on, there's a lot of sharks in this photo. I just noticed this. We've seen this photo before, but there's actually a lot going on here. I think that might be a gray reef shark. I just noticed there's a tiger shark in the background. Hold on, look at that, guys. Sorry, we've seen this photo a lot, and I just noticed, literally, there's a tiger shark right there. That's nuts. Look at that. You can tell by the spots, the shape of the body. Like, tiger sharks are very elongate. The dorsal fin's kind of low. That's crazy. Wow, I did not notice that before. So that's actually really cool. Wow. Okay. So, but tiger shark, I think this is a gray reef shark. It's hard to tell. And I think this is Sicklefin Lemon Shark. This looks like a Pacific location. So, because gray reef sharks only live in the Pacific, they don't live in the Atlantic. So, interesting. That was really cool. That was a weird surprise. So, looks like tiger beach sharks. Yeah, that was a cool. I think I saw that documentary. It's a pretty cool special actually. As much as Shark Week can be very variable, it has some good documentaries. I think Tiger Beach was one of them. So, this was the same genetic study. I didn't realize it was the same one. Ooh, this is cool. I think I had these photos up earlier. Just some more beautiful views of the Sicklefin Lemon Shark. Like this is a good angle because you can just like see how like almost lunate. Like look, these are really beautiful. This is probably one of the most beautiful pectoral fins in the shark world. Just like I really like how dramatic the fins are. Like it's so cool on this species. So that's a nice view too. Just you can even see. Yeah, you can see actually this is a really good photo. I think this is actually an excellent diagnostic photo. Like imagine seeing this in the wild, just like, you know, just these beautiful swept-back fins, you know, like the deep curves. Like it is such a cool looking shark. You know, and at first glance, I think for people who don't know sharks, like they wouldn't really appreciate like how dramatic the species looks. But this is awesome. You know, if we ever vacation, you know, in some of the islands that, you know, like these live in, like we'll know, like we'll know what we're seeing. It's such a cool looking animal. So that's a good photo too, actually. I love how you know, you have like the nice curves with the dorsal and the pectorals, but like with the second dorsal and anal fin, like that's a really deep indentation. It's very sharp looking. It's just so cool. So let me zoom out. Lizard Island Field Guide from the Australian Museum Lizard Island Research Station. Interesting. I don't think not a lot of new info, but just beautiful photos of this. So very pretty species. It's a little blurry. Got some remora following this individual. Now that's a little blurry too, but you can, you know, appreciate, you know, it loves its coral reef habitat. Okay, we'll get out of here, but really cool. Let's see what else we can see. We already checked out Florida Museum of Natural History, so I think we kind of got everything we needed from that. Might scan some more research. We still have plenty of time left, so this might be time for sharkreferences.com. So, let's see if there's anything on the summary. That's just a cool photo. That's a really cool. It's a great picture, actually. That's actually kind of cool too. Seeing you can kind of get a glimpse of the multiple rows of teeth. You know, I'm used to sharks just kind of having one main row, and you know, not really like a comb, if you will, like as far as double rows of teeth. But it's cool to see this. This is another species with like a double row of teeth, and it looks like that back row is actually functional as well. So. Really cool. Cool animal. Nice view. That also may be a pregnant female, actually. Very possibly. Okay. Very cool. Alright, let's see if there's any more research. Oh, actually, we didn't check this out. Sorry, the evidence of social communities in the spatially structured network of a free-ranging shark species. I'm kind of curious what this is. So, I forgot that we pulled this open. So this is from Johan Murier, Julie Versaloni, and Sergey Plains. This is the same researcher as the genetic study. So let's see. Large solitary marine predators such as sharks have been observed to aggregate specific areas. Such aggregations are almost certainly driven by foraging and behavioral strategies, making space for diverse spatial organizations. Reef-associated shark species often show strong patterns of site fidelity that could be viewed as a prerequisite for sociality. Interesting. However, there is limited empirical evidence that such aggregations are driven by intrinsic social factors. Association data for black-tip reef sharks, the Cockburns melanopterus, were obtained from photo identification surveys conducted in Moria coral reefs in French Polynesia. We adapted a social network approach to demonstrate evidence of 4 main communities and 2 sub-communities within the population. So this is not on our species, but I think this is kind of worth maybe taking a peek at. We confronted the resulting structure with candidate explanatory variables. Sharks formed spatial groups characterized by non-random and long-term associations, despite opportunities for social relationships to develop between communities. Sex and length of sharks tended to influence assortment at the population community levels. Individual space use also explained community structure, although spatial assortment is globally weaker than random expectations, suggesting that observed associations are not an artifact of the sampling design or spatial distribution of individuals. Okay, we concluded they observed grouping patterns not only resulted from passive aggregations for specific resources, but rather the communities developed from an active choice of individuals as a sign of sociability. Interesting. Individual preferences and adaptation to local conditions, as well as the demographic, ecological, and anthropogenic factors, may explain the social variability between communities. This suggests that a stable grouping strategy may confer substantial benefits in this marine predator. Well, that is kind of fascinating. So, random sidebar, but there was, I forget where I heard this from, but there is a theory or a study posited that white sharks might be one of the most social sharks around. And part of it has to do with their evolution, where it is a highly energetic predator of seals, primarily, where, you know, in order to go after that kind of prey item, where, you know, it's a complicated, you know, semi-marine, well, I mean, it's a marine animal, but, like, you know, seals, like, spend half their time on land and half their time at sea, and you have to be able to kind of predict where they are and when they're in the water and everything. I believe there was, like, a study or a theory about white sharks, like, having evolved a certain way where they're maybe a bit smarter than other sharks, because they have to, like, analyze a more complicated scene as far as, like, the kind of prey that they're going after. So once we get to white sharks someday, I do want to save white sharks for, like, you know, maybe like a holiday special or something. But once we do get to white sharks, that would be really interesting to dive into, like the social behavior of great whites, because it's like, it makes sense. It is, when you think about it, not a lot of sharks actually go after seals, and the fact that white sharks do that is kind of potentially indicative of, like, there's something, it might be a bit smarter, or there's something kind of going on with how it's processing the world that's a little different. So I know it's very vague, but it was just kind of reminded me of that, as far as, like, there's not a lot of social science on sharks or social, like behavioral studies, but white sharks have been a very good candidate for those, so which is pretty interesting. Let's see. Oh, is this a preview? This is a preview. Sorry about that, guys. I didn't realize this was like a preview. Gotcha, never mind. So, we'll probably have to say that then, because, like, I'm sure, because black-tip reef sharks, I know they're a very easy species to access. They're covered a lot in like underwater photography and well, aquariums. Like, a lot of aquariums have black-tip reef sharks. So we actually next week might be able to kind of dive into more shark social science. So so we'll save that, I guess, for next week. But it's getting close to 11, so let's just do one more shout out to the Sicklefin Lemon Shark. And let me make sure I didn't miss anything in the Great Sharks of the World book as we enjoy this footage and close out for the night. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Hardy in captivity. Wow. Okay, so this species actually fares very well in captivity. So that was something new I didn't see before. So for the aquariums that do have Sicklefin Lemon Sharks, they actually do very, very well in captivity. Valuable for dive tourism. Gotcha. Heavily fished throughout its range outside Australia. So in Australia, it's actually doing pretty okay. So, or not doing pretty okay, but it looks like in Australia there's more of an effort to protect the species and be mindful of exploitation levels of Sicklefin lemon sharks. So, interesting. Gotcha. So, I said before and I'll say it again, I mean, lemon sharks are really cool as far as just having such a distinct look. You know, I think just like the way the head looks like the head looks and like how like the fins are proportioned, where they have huge fins and like those conical snouts. I think that's really their distinguishing fact, like the thing that distinguishes them as a genus, Negaprion, away from other carcharinids. It doesn't look like, you know, a classic carcharinid shark. It doesn't look like a sharp-nosed shark. It is basically its own thing, which is really cool. This is a really beautiful group, and frankly, like one of the more complicated sharks that we've ever studied on the stream. Like this is definitely. I was not expecting the kind of information we were going through tonight. Like this is actually a very complicated and rewarding shark. This was a really, really cool species to study. So, checking up on some comments. I remember after Jaws came out with all these docs saying whites were lone predators, and yet in much of the video footage I would see other white sharks patrolling in the background. Good point. I mean, good point, Howard. Yeah, like Jaws is weird. Jaws is actually, I don't know how we would do this. Like, I would be very interested, because I tried to do like a Jaws series on this channel, and it was like, I didn't really get too far with it. I kind of like my Jaws videos. One of them like is really popular comparatively, but I don't know why. I think it hit the algorithm right. I don't know. But anyway, Jaws would be an interesting movie to watch together, because it's like not on this live stream, because this is like a very pure space where we're talking about shark conservation. But maybe someday it would be interesting to watch Jaws, because there's shark science in Jaws that is actually okay. There's shark science in Jaws that is completely outdated. And then there's shark science in Jaws that is just nonsense. like Hooper says things that are complete nonsense in some instances. So, I think some of how Hooper talks about great whites, just it's a little ridiculous, you know. But then, you know, there's some things like, for example, great whites were called, like Hooper calls great whites squalus. And that sounds ridiculous now, but back in the day, a lot of sharks were called squalus. So that's an example of something that's outdated. Jaws is now like 50 years old, so that would be interesting to do someday, but not on this stream, not on the Monday nights. The Monday nights, this is a pure space for actual shark science and like just appreciating the beauty of these animals. So, but yeah. White sharks, when we do get to white sharks someday, that will be pretty fascinating, because they're really complicated. Actually, I think some of their complications are well studied. So that would be a really cool, that would be a cool species to do one day. But again, we should probably save it for like a holiday special or something. So, but we might wrap up soon. Actually, it is getting closer to 11. Let's do one more time. Sorry, it's just such beautiful footage, but. And we'll just close out. But thank you guys so much for joining tonight. And thank you for joining and sticking around through that genetic study. That was really one of the coolest, the absolute coolest studies we've covered on the stream. Like, I was really blown away by that. And, you know, again, it's really cool to see the life of sharks outside of Oh, I just saw your comment. Oh, I love Hooper. Yeah, Hooper's great. You know, he's great. You know, he's great. He's outdated in some ways, but you know, incorrect in other ways. But Richard Dreyfuss did a fantastic job. You know, just to be frank. So, but anyway, I was just saying, it's wonderful to see like how complicated the life of sharks is, or like it's wonderful to see like windows into the life of sharks. Outside of you know, like diving with them, or just like, you know, things like Blue Planet or underwater specials. Like, it's really, we got to take a really cool peek tonight into like what lemon sharks do, like how they act, and like, you know, how they're navigating the world. You know, in terms of like their behavioral strategies. You know, moving from island to island, trying to find the best mating opportunities with the challenges that they face. As far as like having a limited environment. So absolutely one of the coolest studies we've ever seen together. I really loved tonight's stream. This is actually definitely one of my favorites, because this shark really surprised. So I think it surprised all of us, like in terms of just like what we were learning and how complicated it is. So this was awesome. I really enjoyed tonight. So. But thank you guys so much for joining. I hope you have a great rest of your week. Next week, we'll continue our shark social studies with the black-tip reef shark. So I'm very curious to see what that's going to be like in terms of like what has been studied on black-tip reef sharks, Carcharodontis melanopterus. So I'm very excited to see that. But hope you guys have a really great week. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much for supporting this channel. I really can't do this without you guys. This always makes my Monday night, and it's just like, this is the best thing to do, just talking about sharks in like just a respectful and in a scientific way. It's really awesome. So hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and take care. Just talk to you soon, man. Bye.